Hey, good Wednesday morning, everybody. This is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. The rain has finally moved out, the fog has finally kind of thinned out, and now we turn our attention to the Arctic outbreak that's on the way. Let's go right to the map, show you what's going on this morning. Kind of a cool satellite loop. I wanted to start with this because it's kind of cool. You can see that fog that's still lingering across areas of South Carolina into the Charlotte area. It's beginning to kind of, I don't like to say burn off because it technically is burnout. What happens is the sun comes up, heats the ground, the air lifts, and it mixes up the atmosphere. When you get fog, it's like kind of separating oil and water. And what happens is all that cold air settles near the ground, and you end up with really cold air and moist air near the ground with an inversion, and that creates the fog. So just like oil and water, once things mix up, it all spreads out and the fog kind of dissipates. And that's what's going to happen this morning as the wind and the sun comes up. But the next thing we turn our attention to is the cold air moving in from the northwest. Let's widen the view a little bit here, and I'm going to put the isobars on here and the winds, and you can kind of see this big Arctic high. Now, there technically isn't a front here, but there kind of is. There's a leading edge of really cold air, which is spilling in across the plains right now, and that leading edge is right here over the central part of the country. So I'm going to put the temperatures on real quick here, and we'll throw on the temperatures, and you can see that leading edge of much colder air, which is kind of crossing the Mississippi River right now. There is a big pool of it up here in western Canada and into parts of all the way up into really Alaska, where temperatures up here are in that general, minus 20 to minus 40 degree range. So it's really cold air that is spilling down. So while there isn't a front, there's kind of a leading edge of colder air, and it's somewhere, I would say, let me grab my pen here. I'd say it's somewhere right in here. If I can grab it, there we go. It's somewhere right in here. And so this is the cold air. Now, a lot of questions about snowfall in the mountains, and there's a couple things that I think are going to work against significant snow. I thought earlier in the week we'd have a better setup. But here's the thing to remember about snowfall with these cold Arctic fronts is what direction is the wind? Northwest flow is ideal to get snow, but here's what's happening. Because the high is kind of coming in from the west, if you look at the isobars, and the isobars kind of tell you the flow of the wind. So when the isobars are like this, the wind is going like that. So you can see that flow. That's a pretty good flow coming in across the Great Lakes. But watch what happens as we go into the future here. That flow becomes more kind of out of the west, and you can see initially as we go into tomorrow, we're going to see a good burst of snow, I believe, right along the Tennessee line as that cold air gets banked up against the mountains. But here's the thing, the connection to the Great Lakes disappears, and what I mean by that is the water in the Great Lakes are really warm, so if you can get this Arctic air to spill over Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, and dive down like this, you get added moisture, which helps produce snow here. But it looks like a lot of that moisture is being shunted off in this direction, so areas up in here and maybe West Virginia gets some pretty decent snow out of this. But I think the North Carolina mountains, it's a quick shot and then it's gone. You see the flow, this isn't really ideal. Look at the moisture flow is going like this and then kind of doing this and then turning around to the north. So this is not a really good flow for Great Lakes. Back here, if this flow was like this, man, if we could take this and move it here, we'd have pretty good northwest flow snow events. So I think a dusting to an inch in the valleys, maybe 2 to 3, because of the powdery nature of this snow. It's Arctic air. I think we could fluff it up a little bit. But you see all the lake effect snow. It's going to go gangbusters up here, and even West Virginia getting some of that northwest flow snow. But for the North Carolina resorts, it might be a lot less than it looked like early in the week, just because a subtle shift in the wind. It's kind of like lake effect snow. If the wind changes directions by 20, 30 degrees, you end up with a lot less snow. The one thing that's for sure, we're going to get some cold air. This is the GFS ensemble, and I like showing this because it shows a departure. This is 22 runs of this model, so this isn't a single run, and this shows how much below average the temperatures are, 15 to 20 degrees. A little bit of a warm-up early next week to about average, and then here comes the next shot of cold air as we go towards the 15th of the month. That's next week, next Thursday, I believe. And then into next weekend. So this is pretty consistent cold that's coming in over the next couple of days. As far as that snow in the mountains, again, I think the models are underdoing this. This is the high resolution model. You kind of see a little bit of snow here and a little bit of snow here, but again, this is only through early Friday. Let's go to the NAM, the wider one that kind of shows this a little bit better. We'll go out through the weekend, and two things you notice Probably not handling the lake effect event. Pretty good snows here and nothing down here. I don't think this is going to verify. I think you're going to see, excuse me, let me get that off the screen there for you. You don't want to look at a sounding because that would be kind of hard to explain here. So here's what I think is going to happen. We're going to end up with maybe 1, maybe 2, and up here you're probably talking 3 to 4 in some of these higher peaks. So I think the potential is certainly there, mainly because we're going to have such cold air, and the models tend to handle cold air very poorly and uplift in the mountains really poorly. So overall, I think we're going to get some decent light snow, powdery snow. It's all about the cold temperatures. Great snowmaking in the weekend for the mountains. Should be ideal for snowmaking starting Thursday through Friday, Saturday, even into Sunday. That's 4 whole days of legitimate snowmaking that the resorts will be able to blanket pretty much all of them here in the southeast. Should be a great setup for skiing as we go into the upcoming weekends. If you have plans to go to Beach, Sugar, even Appalachian, heading up to Snowshoe or Winter Place, check with the resorts, see what their plan is, but they should have great conditions based on this cold air coming in. And with more cold air on the way, expect this to be a consistently good ski month for December, early in the season. Far cry from last year, which was an absolute disaster with temperatures running 15 to 20 degrees above average. This year, 15 to 20 degrees below average. So great news all around. I'll keep up to date on this. If things change, don't be surprised to get a quick burst of snow tomorrow with that Arctic front. And if you're going to go skiing, be ready for some really cold air.